Hey there Rockstar, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so this is the morning after the night before, and I don't get hangovers, like, I get tipsy, like, a little bit, but I don't wreck my body so much that, like, I feel like I'm dying the next day. Like, I don't know what you do with your life, girl, but do you, but it's like, it's so interesting to me when people in their 20s are like, oh, I'm so hungover. I'm like, already? Like, is your body not slapping back like that? Already? Girl, well then, you're not gonna, like, I mean, girl, I think all people are beautiful at all ages, inside and out, honestly and truly, but it's like, really, you're coming back into your 20s? Okay, like, wait until, like, your body literally, like, degrades and falls apart, was what I'm saying. But either which way, and I'm redoing my Bantu nuts right now, just by unconscious habit, I think. Like, I love having Bantu nuts, but, like, gosh, I love them, I love them. I love the twisting them as well. It's like, lovely. But it's like, you know, anytime I move my head any kind of way or lift my eyebrows or anything, they get kind of loose. And it's like, well, of course. And it's like, then I redo them and it's like, oh gosh, this whole thing. Anyway, so I thought I'd talk about what I do for a living. So, right, this question is kind of, I wouldn't say it's not triggering, but it's like, I never have the correct response to any answer that anyone ever asked me in any question. Whatever, like, I have the response that's great for me, but I think that, for whatever reason, people want to succinct things in two ways. Two ways. A, they don't want to know the depths of what you do, because that will be a whole essay in and of itself. Most people don't have time for that. And B, people want to know how much money you make, and I'm like, what does it matter to you? So, I didn't understand why that's a second question. Oh, how much money do you make? Excuse me, enough for me, and that's all that should matter, right? It's so bizarre, like it's important or anything. I mean, hell, like the Lord knows that I'm not doing what I'm doing right now because of the monetary income. That's the straight T. But it's so interesting how people think that life is all about money when like it isn't. Humanity existed before money, and humanity will exist after money exists. You know what I mean? Even to the point now, it's literally just like numbers on it's numbers on your phone sort of thing. Like, it's so interesting to me. Like, even still, like, I don't carry cash around anymore just because, well, I stopped carrying around cash for a crazy long time ago, and I've never had a wallet, like, in my entire life. I think I had one when I was like 10 or something, but like ever since then I was like, why am I carrying this like bulky ass like half cotton thing for what? For what? Literally, I do content this everywhere. I don't think there's ever an opportunity for me to even use cash in my day-to-day life. No. I mean, if you find a penny on the floor, it's good luck, and look at the pennies, the pounds look up for themselves, but outside of that, like, carrying change is just, like, an arbitrary thing which, like, I don't want to do. Especially when you're carrying especially when you're wearing skinny jeans and everything else, like, why? Anyway, this question is kind of convoluted for me because people like to presume that humans are so diverse. We can do all kinds of things. Excuse me. A crazy amount of things, an insane amount of things, an inane amount of things with our time. Like, I've never had the kind of life where I would shimmy myself down into one little nub and then that be all she wrote. And then I do what with my time? Literally what? Like, I never understood the point of, like, doing certain GCSEs, you can do certain A-levels to do a certain degree at university. Like, no. I understand there's a point about being hyper-specialised, but I think that's for a very, very minute sliver of the population. I think that most people benefit from like opening up a little bit and like allowing themselves to breathe, allowing themselves to like have multiple facets to themselves, sort of thing. It's kind of, I mean, live your own life, of course. I mean, sometimes the vibrancy gets a little bit too much for me, sometimes, I suppose. But it's like, what I do for a living, I mean, I'm never ever going to have just like one thing that I do and then like that be all she wrote. That just is not the kind of life which has been given to me. It hasn't. And it's like, how many photo shoots do you need to do to call yourself a model? You know what I mean? If you are, hell, you could be a goddamn architect. Like, if you do 2 or 3 shoots to Architecture Magazine or whatever it is, whatever that lane is called, then could you not say that you're a model? Or like, or just keep it in that lane. Like, are you not also a copywriter, an editor, and a designer, and an illustrator? Like, you can call yourself many different things, and like that's okay. Like, if you want to wrap it all in one, I would say that I'm an actor, but I do I do more photo shoots than I do like films. So it's like, would I not call myself would I not be more likely to call myself a model? But I also do opera as well, so I would say that I'm a tenor. But if I did musical theatre, would I then be a musical theatre actor or a singer, or like, it's just, I'm not really in the world of like everything has to be like so rigid and strict and labels and whatever. Like, I don't. Also, I do social media as well. So would I also be an influencer? But like, that's not my main gig. So like my main gig changes season by season. Like, hell, if the theatre's closed and like I can't act in the theatre, then I'm going to find other means of income and do things to do with my life. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? So, I mean, hell, it's I don't know why you want to simplify other people's business to what extent. I don't know why. I don't know what you can gain from like reducing something down to like it's nubs, but I don't. At the same time, even though acting is something which I love and that's what I pursued from jump, like, I love opera, and opera is something which I want to pursue as well full time. And I'm never going to sit here and say that, oh yes, when I was 5, even though the more that I look back at myself, the more I'm like, oh wow, I was really into poetry and all that sort of things too. More writing than reading, to be honest with you, because like, who has time for that? Like, hello, like, like, as much as I love classical things, like, honestly, a lot of times they're quite boring. Which is great that I'm doing something right now where it's like, I'm seeing classical things which are like sort of hit a certain indie too, so it's more resonating with me. But at the same time, I'm not going to be the kind of person who's like, oh yeah, from the age of 5 years old, from when I was like fresh out of the womb, I just knew that I was going to be a star. I mean, well, not 5 years old now, maybe 15, but no, that's another story. But it's so interesting that people seem to wrap your entire identity around like your occupation, your income, and like what you do for a living. It's like, doing that. I mean, my eyes and ears and vocal cords, everything is made for something other than to be monetized. I also like into art galleries, also like pop music and techno and video games. Waka waka waka. Which I'm getting back into, and like cartoons and anime, and that's more my identity than anything. And also, like, I don't know, it's like, maybe it's because maybe what we're saying is a symptom of being in the Western world, but there's such an emphasis on like having a career and having like a career's not for everybody. Like, get a job that you like, maybe get a social job which can look like a career when it's all said and done, but outside of that, like, chill out. Like, hello. Also, when I clock off, I clock out. Like, you will never catch me talking about all those convoluted ass things when I'm not in that lane. Like, legit, like, you're like, also tell me about this. Like, do you not have Google? Hello. Like, like, legit, I'm just not the kind of person. Like, I'm not. Like, a job is a job, and get a job that you like. And when I clock off, I clock out. And that's all she wrote. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm so grateful that I've never been the person ever who has, I mean, of course, I done some professional training courses and everything else too, but like, I always had something else going on. Like, I've got a few side hustles which can live or die, which I'm not too upset about necessarily, but either which way, like, I wasn't the kind of person who like put all the eggs in one basket and was disappointed that none of them hatched. I wasn't that person who, there's some people out there who I know who did at drama GCSE, then drama A-level, then like did drama and theatre degree, and are they acting today? Not what I can see. Not to say anything about that necessarily, but it's like, the people who I find are pursuing it the most and pursuing it to the fullest extent are people who are able to understand there's a time to be professional and there's a time to play as well, and not everything needs to be work. Like, I just slept the whole day today and I didn't feel guilty about it at all. Like, and yesterday too, girl, and I believe the day before, actually no, I think the day did I go out? When did I buy food? Yesterday or the day before? Wait, what day is it today? Today is, yeah. Yeah, I think I slept Wednesday, yeah. Basically, I slept like 3 days in a row, and like, I was fine. Like, it's okay, you know what I mean? And I just watch cartoons and films, and that's okay. Like, and just because you like something, just because you like to watch something doesn't mean you have to pursue it professionally. You can like reading books without being an author. You can like going to art galleries without being an art critic. You can like traveling without having a travel blog. You know, like you can like oil painting without like selling any paintings. You know, like I don't know. I just think quite differently about these kinds of things, and that's okay. Right now I'm chilling, and that's fine. And that's fine, I'm okay with that. Why? Because it's my choice, you know? And it's interesting how whenever you're talking about what you do for a living, you kind of have to narrow it down and work it down for the sake of someone else. It's like, you can do a film once every 3 years, still call yourself a film actor. Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. When you have so many hyphens and asterisks next to your name, like, they become meaningless, to be quite honest with you. And I don't know, I'm just not in the lane of like, oh, this is what I do, this is what I fit in society at large. Like, I don't fit in society at large, and that's okay. Talking about that, and on closing, there are many things to do with the arts itself, which right now it's very popular to talk about things like political things, like certain movements. And I don't even want to say those words out of my mouth. I don't want my lips to have that much memory to even learn those words to begin with. But if you read for the lines, and if you've lived life in the mainstream news in the past 2 years, and whenever this is uploaded, then you might know what I'm talking about. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm the fun, happy-go-lucky, bubbly person who's like artsy and quirky and all that sort of stuff. Like, there's not been one point where I can look back and recall and be like, oh yeah, I was oppressed that day. No, I've met crappy people in my life, of course. I've met arseholes in my life, and I continue to bump into them to this day still. But never have I been like, oh no, I have to be in this category because of certain characteristics which will be beyond my control. Never. So, and I know that acting at large is giving a voice to people who don't know a voice for themselves. But it's like, I very, very, very rarely stay in places where I'm not wanted nor needed, or like I'm just not that shit. Like you can be all negative you want to be all the way from me. It's fine. It's fine. Like I'm not really bothered. I move on with my life, to be quite honest with you. But like you'd imagine that I'd have something to say about these things now, but like I don't. People get very upset when I don't have the kind of opinions that they expect me to have. And people get very upset that I'm not, like, sacrificing any part of my being for the sake of anything else. Like, no. I'm here just to, like, have a good time, have good energy, maybe, you know, do a little cute arty things here or there. Then I'm moving on to the next. I was not here to, like, sacrifice thine own energy for the greater good or any of that nonsense, girl. If you feel like you can do something in your wider community to uplift it, regift it, give back to it, then great. If not, then that's great too. And like that's where I come from. I don't understand why, because I'm born to a certain body, that I have to be a voice for this thing or that thing. No, that's all good for someone else, and that's okay. I'm just here just to make art and to be cute and just to move on, and that's fine. I love what I do, and of course I'm pursuing it to its fullest extent that I possibly can. Even though the path is so non-linear, which is exciting to me, because then I can make it more my own and really give energy to things that I am proud of and that other people are proud of too. And other people can look at and be like, oh wow, thank you for doing that. Wow, my life is forever transformed because of that. And wow, that was, she did that, they did that. Like, and things like, you know, I feel empowered by what this person did, rather than like, oh, now I'm reminded of like how crappy the world is. Cause no, I'm not that kind of person. I'm just not. And it's so interesting to me how like I'm the exception and not the rule. But, not my problem. So yes, that is basically in a nutshell what I do for a living, which is subject to change too. It's like just because you do one something that makes more money, or one something that is like more seen by the masses, or one something that, or versus another thing that you're instantly passionate about, like does that mean that like where's your definition? Where's your definition? Maybe we say different people in different circles. I may represent different things. I may say different things. Like, hell, if I'm like at the, I don't freaking know. If I'm at the runway like either watching a designer or like participating in a shoot, I might talk more about my modelling than anything else. Like, that's just a no-brainer. Like, if I'm, you know, at the opera house, I'm gonna talk about opera more than I do film, because like that's just like common sense. But in terms of just like when I was living my life day to day, it's like I usually just do what I'm passionate about outside of work. Like, passionate about traveling, passionate about like fun, gooey things. I'm passionate about cocktails and like live music events and things like that. Like, that's what I want to spend my energy towards. I'm so blessed in the fact that the universe has like literally put things on my lap for me to just gobble up, which I don't want to take for granted per se. But like, yeah, like someone asked me that the other day, like, what are you passionate about? I'm passionate about like having a time. I'm passionate about like connection and like home decor and all those sorts of things. It doesn't mean I need to be an interior designer for someone else now. It means that like it just is what it is. Like, I can be passionate about food without being a chef. I can like having a clean home without like being a cleaner. And just because I am a cleaner, does not mean that it's nothing more than a job necessarily. But it's interesting where people sort of like divvy the line between what should be someone's career or occupation or what shouldn't. Like, it's not for you to say necessarily. Just because someone has like however many followers on whichever social media site doesn't mean that's what they do for a living. Like you know, like you could be I've done boxing, for example, and who knows, you might want to do some amateur fights one day or some professional fights or whatever. It does not mean that like I start doing all these other things. Just because I'm doing YouTube more now, and like hopefully, excuse me, Lord willing, this gets like, you know, what it is, does not mean that I like become a YouTuber and start becoming everything else. Just because like I do Instagram does not mean that I don't do other kinds of modelling outside of like being an influencer and saying, hey, this cute thing is really nice, you should try it maybe, you know? So yeah, that's what I do for a living. And I also have a podcast too, from BOMBASTIC NEWSCAST. I'm in the Voicenotes, and that has some opportunities attached to it as well, and like public speaking and panels and stuff. And like, does not mean that, like, that's the thing, like, as an actor, like, you're doing everything. That's the thing, like, as an actor, you do photo shoots, and I guess if you really want to water it down, just say actor, and then it's like subheadings. But like, you do panels, and you do everything. Like, acting is its whole goddamn thing. So yeah, I guess I said all of that to say like, hi, I Ruben Whitter, the actor, but like, I don't. That's the thing that's like, I don't know. I'm just not that chick who grew up like I'll have to like watch this film, like it's cute. Like, I would go to it if it so behooves me, but outside of that, it's like I don't like. I mean, no. But anyway, that's a conversation for someone else. Anyways, that's it from me. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning into this YouTube video. And yeah, that's just like, it was something on my mind, because like, you know, people say, what do you do for a living? And we're like, well, where do we begin? It's like, if I'm in the mode of like, if I'm like, oh, I don't know, like if I'm like doing a photo shoot run, does that mean that I'm no longer an actor? I'm still doing that, but it's like, I don't know, I have several careers like in tandem, and like, I don't have the life where it's like, I go into the office and I'm defined by this one thing, and then that's it. Even then, like, people have lives outside of work. I do, and well, that's it for me. So, bye.